This evening, on Doctor Who Review, I start reviewing the 26th season, which is the final season of the classic series, but it is also the last season to feature the Brigadier. Into battle. Hello Whovians and welcome to my latest Doctor Who review, where today I review Battlefield. Yes, the very beginning of the 26th and final season of the classic series. This is also the final story to feature the Brigadier in the entire show. Yes, the recurring character who has been in the show since Patrick Troughton's era, although he didn't become Lethbridge Stewart until much later. He featured predominantly in John Pertwee's era, but he's had some recurring appearances over the years, but this is his last ever appearance in the show entirely, so we'll be saying goodbye to him. And this is also the last time that Bessie the car features as well, so that's also another reason to remember this story. Okay, so the plot of this story is as follows. The TARDIS materialises in the English countryside near the village of Carbury, where a nuclear missile convoy under the command of Unit Brigadier Winifred Bambera has run into difficulties. Lying on the bed of nearby Lake Vortigern is a spaceship from another dimension containing the body of King Arthur, supposedly held in suspended animation, and his sword, Excalibur. Anselin, a knight from the other dimension, arrives on Earth to aid the king, but is followed by his rival Mordred, and the latter's mother, a powerful sorceress named Morgaine. They all recognise the Doctor as Merlin, which the Time Lord attributes to events in his own future. A battle breaks out between Unit and Morgaine's army. Brigadier Lethbridge Stewart has come out of retirement to assist in the crisis and ends up using silver bullets to kill the Destroyer, an awesomely powerful creature unshackled by Morgaine to devour the world, although he himself is almost killed in the process. Sorry about that long-winded synopsis. Battlefield, well, I have to say, this is a really good story. This is a very strong opening to the season. It isn't perfect, I won't say it's amazing, but the idea of it is really quite good. I think the whole medieval kind of fantasy epic side of it really works, and it is an incredibly entertaining story to watch. It is packed with battles, sword fights, the lot. With a simple story, easy enough to follow. It's a light romp, for sure, and it actually packs a punch in the right places. It's actually got some genuine moments of tension. The moment where Ace is trapped in the water tank is quite intense, and also the final moments with the Destroyer are really quite engaging, when the Brigadier is about to shoot it and he says, "Get off of my world." But what I also love about this story is Sylvester McCoy. Sylvester McCoy goes dark in this one. He goes really dark. When Sylvester McCoy holds the umbrella up to Mordred's neck, he's about to kill him, and he's being pushed to that point, and you can really see the rage in him. So McCoy is resisting the urge to go dark in this one, which I think is really interesting. I also think this is just such a nostalgic story because the Brigadier is back, and what a great return for Nicholas Courtney. I liked his return with Davison in Mordred Undead and the Five Doctors, but I actually think his return is nicer here. I think it really is. He really does pack a good punch because he's wearing his old outfit, which makes it that much more meaningful for me. He really feels like he's stepping back in time to when he was the Brigadier. My one criticism of this story would definitely have to be it takes the Brigadier a little bit too long to get involved into the story. I think there's a bit of window dressing with his role in the story at the beginning, so maybe some of that could have been cut. We're just kind of seeing him with his wife and him settling down, which is kind of nice, but it does take a while for him to get involved and meet the Doctor, which is a slight problem for me, but it's not major. I just think the moments he has with Sylvester McCoy are really good, and the fact that he knows it's him wherever there's disaster, he just knows that the Doctor is behind it all, even though the Doctor's regenerated. Nicholas Courtney gives a wonderful, fine performance as the Brigadier. It's a really lovely performance. He really is stepping back into that old character that we know him so well for, and he really gets involved in the action. When he gets involved, he gets really involved. And like I said, he actually saves the world in this one. I also think that Sophie Aldred as Ace is really good, and there are some lovely, sweet moments with her and the Doctor. They've really developed their relationship a bit more. They are really getting closer, and you can see he really cares for her as a friend. Like, he honestly thinks that she is cute, and she is honestly a great friend to him. When he says something like, "This is finding ancient alien Excaliburs are hard to come by, but aces are rare," and then he touches her nose, which is really sweet. That's a really nice moment. We really get to see the Doctor's caring side as well. So we get to see a very three-dimensional depiction of the Doctor in this story, and I think that's down to the script as well. The script is incredibly well written by Ben Aronovich, who wrote Remembrance of the Daleks, I believe. He writes this story. He does a great job with the characters. And there are a lot of characters. Like I said, Sylvester McCoy is fantastic as the Doctor. This could be actually his best performance so far. He really is showing a lot of range. He's showing his darker side, but he's also showing his caring side, his warm side as well, to his friends. And he's very commanding this time. This is how the Doctor should be in every story. Sadly, with Colin's era, it just didn't work out due to the circumstances at the time. We've got the villains. Morgaine, played by Jean Marsh. She was actually in Doctor Who before, if you remember. She was in the Daleks' Master Plan. She played Sarah Kingdom, although a lot of that story is missing. But yeah, she's great here as Morgaine. She doesn't always raise her voice, which is good. She's not a shouty villain, so she's not hamming it up. She looks really creepy. She wears these gold armor plates, and she has these long fingernails, and she can shoot lightning. She's really quite creepy in this story. And yeah, she really has an easy job scaring everyone. We also actually have Mordred, who's her son. He's a little bit hammy in this story. I think maybe that's one criticism. Some of his evil laughter goes on a bit too long. It's a little hammy at times, and you do kind of laugh at it at points, but he is actually quite a decent villain nonetheless. But as for the main sort of supporting allies, there are quite a lot of them. They're very good. We've got a new Brigadier called Brigadier Winifred Bambera, played by Angela Bruce. She's a female black woman who is now the Brigadier, and she's great. She's great in the story. She has a great sort of action hero vibe about her. I think she has a bit of a crush on Anselin. I think they have a slight chemistry, although it's not really explicitly taken anywhere, but I think it's implied that they definitely have something going on. I like Anselin as well. Marcus Gilbert plays Anselin, and he was once a friend of Mordred, and they have a lot of sword fights in this story. This story, if nothing else, is a spectacle. It is really entertaining because there is so much action in it. There's a lot of battles, and there's the sword fighting and everything, and it would be very easy to say that the story is just a load of action without any meaning, but actually, I'll have you know, there are some shots in the story where we actually see a lot of dead people on the grass. They actually focus on it, and we get to see the horrors of the battle, the sort of the cost of it, and that sort of side of it. So I really appreciate that they gave it a dramatic edge, even though this is something to be considered as a fun romp of a story. But I really appreciate that. It's a very well directed story. I also like seeing the Brigadier's wife, Doris. I mean, well, she's not really in it much, but when she appears, it's nice to see her, and it's nice to know that Brigadier married, and he settled down after everything that happened with the Doctor, but by the end of this one, he feels he's too old to continue doing this, and rightly so, in my opinion. I think he deserves to have a rest, and he says to Ace at the end, he says, "Oh, you can have him. He's all yours, whenever this happens again. I'm done." And I don't blame him, to be honest. I think the look of this story is great. It's like a mixture of medieval and the present day. Well, obviously, the present day at the time was 1989. But I like that the two somehow managed to work together visually. The design of the story is really good. Like, the armor and everything looks really cool. The effects aren't too bad, even though some of them are a bit cheap, but you have to kind of forgive them a little bit for the budget. But they were really trying with this story. They really made the effort to make this script work. I also like the country setting as well. I guess it kind of adds to the sort of medieval feel that they're out on location for most of the story. But what's interesting about these villains is that they are medieval, but they're actually sort of from the future as well. And the Doctor has met them in the future, so he's sending messages back to them in the present, well, which is 1989, sorry. So when they discover that King Arthur is dead, they realise that the Doctor from the future has sent that message, and so inadvertently the Doctor somehow already knows what to do, which is really interesting. So I kind of like the story. I think it's very clever, and I think they've given it an interesting angle. The thing about Morgaine as well is that she is an evil woman, but in a way, she's not completely evil. There are these two elderly people who are a couple, Pat and Elizabeth, and Elizabeth is blind, and Morgaine actually cures her blindness. So that's one act of kindness. So we do get to see a different side to her as well. So she's not completely evil. She has her motives and she has her reasons for doing bad things, but she is actually a decent person underneath. Although that being said, she does screw over her son as well at one point. I think she leaves him to die. So she's not a very nice person, but she's not completely, without heart, shall we say. There's also this Asian character called Sho Young. I think that's how you pronounce it. Sho Young. I'm not sure. She seems to gravitate towards Ace, and they form a bit of a friendship, which is good. Though Sho Young didn't really seem to do very much in the story, so I think she could have been used slightly more. But yeah, she just seems to be caught up in the adventure. They meet her in the pub when they arrive, in the country pub. But yeah, she didn't stick out to me much as a character because she didn't do very much. She was involved with Ace in the circle, and I like those scenes in the circle because they added a lot of tension. Like Morgaine was deliberately trying to get them two to argue with each other and push them out of the circle so she could get the sword, which is interesting. So I really like this story. It's like Doctor Who meets Excalibur meets King Arthur meets Lord of the Rings. It's something like that. It's like Doctor Who goes into fantasy land and becomes a fantasy epic, which I think is really good. I wouldn't call the story epic as such, but it is highly entertaining. It is really fun. Like I said, I have a couple of minor issues with the story, but overall, I am going to give this story a 9 out of 10. Fabulous story. Fabulous opening to this season. And I have to say a few words about Nicholas Courtney. Yes, Nicholas Courtney. It is really sad to see that this is his last story in the show ever. I wouldn't call the Brigadier a companion as such, because he doesn't really travel with the Doctor, but he's certainly an ally, because he helps, particularly in the John Pertwee era, when the Doctor has adventures on Earth. And I think the Brigadier really has become part of the furniture, if you will. He has really become a staple of the show, and I think it would be just wrong of me to finish this review without saying a few words. So, Nicholas Courtney, thank you very much. You have given us an amazing contribution. Thank you very much. The character is just wonderful. The Brigadier is definitely one of the best characters in the show, and we'll miss him. we still do. We still miss him. I certainly do. So I will finish up this video with a short tribute to Nicholas Courtney. He's sadly no longer with us. He passed away. So he didn't get to feature in the new series with Christopher Eccleston or David Tennant, but I think he was in talks to return for the Sarah Jane Adventures, although I'm not sure if it happened. I can't remember. I'll have to see. But yeah, he's definitely a very special person, and he's a very special character, so thank you very much. That's my review of Battlefield. So next time we will get to the second story of this season, which is Ghostlight. Yes, there's not many stories left of the classic series and of Sylvester McCoy's era. So stay tuned next time for my review of Ghostlight, and as I said, I'll finish up with a short tribute to Nicholas Courtney. And until next time, I'm Mr. Tarnus 11. See you soon. Bye for now.